Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have with us Armando Leduc. He is an entrepreneur, producer, former Hollywood actor, known for his roles in shows like Prison Break and the film Green Lantern. He's the founder of Leduc Entertainment, where he helps entrepreneurs and brands use media, podcasting, and storytelling to build authority and generate strategic relationships. He is also a podcast host. And so we'll talk to him about and learn from him how authentic storytelling, camera confidence, and strategic conversations can build real business opportunities. Welcome to the show, Armando.
Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form, Armando. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people, a lot of businesses across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about content, we'll talk about podcasting, and we'll also talk about storytelling. But before that, let's talk a bit about your journey, your background, so that the audience knows who they are listening to.
So you want me to give you like a 2-minute version of where I came from?
Yeah, a bit of your background. Obviously, people know that you are an ex-Hollywood, but to understand it directly from you,
sure,
Armando.
So I started in the entertainment business back in 1998. I was an actor, did musical theater, went to school for vocal performance, and left Georgia to move to New Orleans to pursue my acting career because I wanted to be a television and film actor. And I knew New Orleans had a lot of tax credits going on at the time. And so I moved here, got on set, saw what the producers and the filmmakers and sort of everything was going on behind the scenes, not just in front of the camera. And I really enjoyed that. And so I started to create my own content, started shooting my own films and short films. And I really loved the production process, the storytelling, the producing, the directing, the thinking about the thing, and then actually seeing it come to life was just a magical experience. I don't think that ever gets old for me. And yeah, started doing this in 2006. Full time, and I started helping other companies with their content in 2012, and so started really getting into micro content, social media content in 2021. Have been doing that for the last 6 years, really well, and it brings me to today.
Absolutely. So what would you want to tell people, especially when you talk about any of the things that you talk, either storytelling, either content or podcasting? A lot of these things can be created by artificial intelligence. So how does one differentiate or create or continue to keep, like the same thing even in the film industry? People are looking at AI. When Sora came at that point in time, there was a lot of thought about how to move forward. Even now, a lot of people are worried about their voice, either, and even in terms of the video content. That is why I asked this from someone who knows that side of the journey as well as this side of the journey. How would you like to explain people to understand what the landscape is at the present, Armando?
The landscape is unknown. What it's going to be like, how you can use AI currently. I know a lot of people are looking for that authenticity. They're looking for more of a human connection. I love the filmmaking process because it's just what I'm here to do. Could I offload this work to AI? I could. What is the end result? Is the end result a product that I was intimately involved in, that came from my head, that I poured myself into so that I have an end product that came from me? or do I just rely on AI to do everything for me? And at the end, the fulfillment of me knowing that I did all of those things and I worked through all of the problems. And because like filmmaking and doing work is a lot of problem solving. And I think AI is depriving humans from the ability to solve problems and to learn through doing. And now because of AI, you don't really have the you don't really get to do that, right? You don't really get to solve problems the way you used to. And I don't know, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. It is what it is. I will say for me that I'm just going to continue creating content. I'm going to continue to be creative in those spaces, um, because it's just a fulfillment for me, and that's the point of life, right? If you take that away, um, then are we living our purpose? Is that the purpose? It's different for everybody, right? I can't make that decision for people. I think some people will get huge satisfaction from putting in a prompt and seeing AI spit something out, and maybe they feel a sense of accomplishment from doing that. I doubt it. I doubt that they're going to feel as accomplished. I doubt that they're going to feel that sense of, I mean, the word is accomplishment, right? When you actually go through and you learn, you think about writing a script, you put it on paper, you work through it, you schedule it to be shot, you put together all of the actors and you shoot it, and then you go through the editing process, and like all of that, the process of the doing, man, it's just I'm not necessarily interested in offloading that to AI. I am interested in using AI to make my life easier on things that I don't necessarily want to be doing. That for sure. But the things that I love to do, I don't necessarily feel the need to give AI that task. If that answers your question.
Absolutely, Armando. And that is where, because you talk about, content into clients framework. And that is where I want to understand in these times how much will that work, or is it working? Does it have that durability still? When everything can be generated by, artificial intelligence or any sort of a tool that is out there.
Sure. I mean, I think people are going to want to connect with a human being first and foremost. As far as right now, it's 2026. I think we've been dealing with people. I think we want to continue dealing with people. I don't know what the next 20, 30 years looks like. Maybe it changes with the generation of my daughter and the generations beyond that. Maybe they're going to be more okay with it. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think people are going to want to deal with people. And if that is the case, then once again, depriving yourself of actually being on camera and answering questions and being on podcasts and doing the thing, this makes me better at my job. This makes me better at getting clear about what my process and my deliverabilities are, right? This makes me better at being an entrepreneur and a business owner. This makes me better at communication skills. This makes me better at creating my authenticity and my personal brand. If I offload this job of me going on podcasts and me creating content, if I offload that to AI and I just let a clone of Armando do all of the work, then at the end of the year, I will not have had the experience of being on podcasts, of being on camera, to know what my opinion even is anymore, right? Like, what is my perspective after AI just comes in and creates it for me? And they're like, oh, well, Armando, I'm going to feed AI all of the Armando backstory of like where I've been and my acting and yada yada yada. Like I can feed AI all of that right now, right? And I can go to the different AI places. I know there's one where you can create a podcast for, out of my voice. And it could do it right now, right? It could. What I will be missing, and this is so important, right? This is such an important thing to talk about, is that when you stop doing the work, when you stop doing what it is that makes you a human being and you just want to offload it to AI, you're going to see depression start to spike. And you're seeing that now, right? Like we're human beings. We're here to create. We're here to do things. That is the purpose of life. And if you start to offload what it means to be human, you're going to start living in a bad way. And the thing is, you don't have to. Like people are going to do it. People are going to offload AI and they're going to clone themselves, and they're going to have a Armando version of themselves answering questions that their clients have and that their employees have. And they're going to automate the process so much that they don't have to be there. And then they're going to sit around going, now what? Now what do I do?
Absolutely.
What am I going to do? Like, am I sitting around doing nothing now? Is this the point of life? Right. And so they're offloading everything that it means to be human. And I think they're going to find out real quick why that's going to cause some severe depression in some people, which you don't have to. You don't have to give it all away. I'm not saying don't use AI. I use AI every day to enhance things and help me problem solve and, and create things that just really is a drag to me. There's a good book. It's called Who Not How, right? And it talks about like the 4 quadrants. And I do this about every quarter. The top left quadrant is things that fill you up and things that make you money. Top right hand quadrant is things that don't make you money but fill you up, right? These are things, hobbies, spending time with family, friends, right? And so we should be spending most of our time in these top 2 quadrants, right? Then you have the top bottom quadrants. There's things that make you no money and drains you, right? Things that we should be avoiding, things that AI could help with, right? And then things that make you money but still drain you. Once again, things that need to be delegated either to a person or AI. And so if we can start delegating these bottom things and staying here in the top, I think we're going to find a lot more joy in life. But if you start to offload these top things to AI and to other people, I think we're missing the point of what life is all about. Right. And so it's a really good exercise that you should be doing every quarter to go, am I living the life that I want? And can I offload the things that are draining me and the things that I don't want in my life?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well explained, Armando. Some very fresh views from someone who's so accomplished and knows about life and living. And that is where to make it a joyful life. How do you make your business much more joyful for you? You talk about several things: content, storytelling, and podcasting. What is it that you want to tell about all these things and using them for you know bettering your business as well as other things in life?
I think it's about connection. As I'm working on my personal brand and as I'm kind of building out this new form of how I want to be perceived and how I want to be looked at in the marketplace and how I'm building a personal brand, it always goes back to being a connection architect. And it's just as I'm looking through my life and just kind of looking back at being an army brat and how did I make friends so quickly, because every 3 years I had to get up and move somewhere. And so I learned what it meant to connect with someone, that we all have fears. We all have aspirations and goals, and we have things that bother us, and that it's this up and down roller coaster of a ride. And if we understand that when we start a business and entrepreneurship, we're here to solve problems and we're here to help people. For me, it all comes down to connection. And it all comes down to how are we connecting with human beings? One, to grow our business, but more importantly, to make this place a better place to live, right? We only have a short amount of time to live a life. And how are we maximizing that? There was a really good book I read back in the day called Live 1,000 Years. And what a good book that talks about when you have your tombstone up, you're going to notice 3 things. And the 2 things that people notice are, what do you think the 2 things that they notice on a tombstone?
They notice the name. That's it. That's the first thing.
And then what do they notice?
I don't have much understanding of tombstone. In India, we don't have many,
Oh, you don't? Okay, so that's good to know. So, over here, when somebody passes away, they get buried. Maybe they're in the ground. Maybe it's maybe they're in a mausoleum. But what people are going to know is they're going to know when they were born and when they died. Those are the 2 big numbers that they look at. But what they're missing is that little dash in between, right? The little dash that was the life. And nobody really pays attention to that. They just pay attention to the birthday and the death day. And so this book, Live 1,000 Years, is really about the life. Like how can we live 1,000 years according to the book? And it's all about the things that we infuse into the life to make it a life worth living. Right. And are we maximizing the time here? And for me, what I'm learning is that it's all about, how can we be there for people? How can we be a source of help, a source of inspiration and motivation and a place where people can look to go, you know what, there is hope. Right. When you look at all of the stuff that's going on in the world, there's people that are living a hopeful life, and that not everything is going to crap. There's a lot of good things. And so when we start living that way, and when we start living in a way where we're like, okay, how do I connect with a human being, and slowing down enough to understand that people are human beings. Another good book that I read is Leadership and Self-Sabotage, where if we're treating a person like they're an object, we're living inside the box. But when we're treating a person like they're a person, we're living outside the box. And it's really quick to do that. As soon as we start to notice that we're just talking to somebody like they're an object, and that we no longer have a humanity aspect to it, that's what needs to change immediately. That we need to start treating that person like they're a person, and not that they're an object. And so to answer your question in a short form, is that connection is key to everything in life, relationships, growing a business, creative, family, friends. It's all about connection. It's all about relationships.
Absolutely. Armando. And you talk about podcasting also for businesses, how they can use podcasting to grow their business as well as opportunity as a strategic form of content into clients. What do you mean by that? How should people understand podcasting is on a rise? It has its own challenges, but do you mean businesses should get into podcasting, or you mean something else?
I think every business should have a podcast. I think every business should have a podcast. One, to have a show that goes out on a weekly basis to make their business relevant, build their personal brand, but more importantly, to connect with other referral partners that are in your space, which is super important to niche down. I talk about it all the time, that you should be picking a niche, and not a niche is not, hey, I'm looking for people that make over $150,000 a year, right? Like that's not a niche. A niche is attorneys, doctors, plastic surgeons, dentists. Like, who are you trying to talk to? And I will tell you, all of these niches have a conference every year, multiple conferences a year that you can go to meet other people that are servicing your clients in that space. We work with a lot of attorneys, so we go to a lot of legal conferences. I use my podcast to invite other legal vendors to my podcast in order to create referral partnerships with them so that I can have a nice little referral partner income stream.
Absolutely. So, what are some of the tips that you can give to businesses, especially to use this particular medium? And you have also created a good authority for yourself after transitioning from Hollywood to this part of entrepreneurship. How would you like to tell businesses to also look at the authority part in terms of expertise, especially individuals who have got their own expertise and are very good at their work, but still they do not come as someone I would as a first point of reference whenever the market thinks about them.
I think it goes back to what we were talking about in AI and offloading that authority to somebody else, or or offloading it to AI. Only through the doing, only through getting on podcasts, and I call it stage time. 2026 for me is all about stage time. But getting on stages, getting on podcasts, speaking right into a phone, speaking into a camera, answering questions, giving your perspective on things, like that's what people want to hear. That's what they're connecting with these days. And I know it could feel saturating, but there are people that are looking for your perspective. Sure, they can get it on AI, but not necessarily the stories and the experiences that have come from actually failing at doing that thing. And that's entrepreneurship in a nutshell, right? It's failing up. It's going through it and learning, oh, that didn't work. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, that didn't work. And figuring out the things that did work and going, all right, this worked. I'm going to go all in on that. And so you don't necessarily know how to get there unless you're creating a regular content cadence of you answering questions and being forced to speak. Like right now, I have no idea what you're going to ask me, but I'm forcing myself into being on more podcasts so that I can get better at really understanding what my perspective is, because verbalizing and thinking are two different things. I can be thinking about things all the time, but as soon as I start to verbalize and I start to go, oh, wow, I didn't realize that was my perspective. Now that you asked me and I'm verbalizing it, all of the things, all of my experiences have led me to this point to answer this question in the way I'm answering it right now. But you will not get that benefit if you don't force yourself into doing these things, into pushing yourself into creating content, podcasting, stage time, webinars, the whole nine. And so don't deprive yourself of that. Start the doing so that you can figure that out as you go, because these are things that you're not going to be able to learn from a book. You're not going to be able to learn it from a podcast. You're going to be learn it, by thinking about it. You learn by the actual doing, and through the doing, you fail, you think, you build the confidence, you put yourself through that obstacle, and through the obstacle, you start to figure out who you are and what your perspective is and what your point of view is.
Absolutely, absolutely, Armando. One last thing I want to understand: you talk about long form content. For entrepreneurs, what does that mean?
Long form content could be a 2-hour podcast. I mean, Joe Rogan does a 2-hour podcast. Long form content could be, talking about one particular thing for 20, 30 minutes that you post on YouTube. So I know more. It's telling a story that takes a good 10, 15 minutes to tell. Like that's all long form content. And it's something that, people are starting to crave too. If you notice, there's a movement on social media where people are like starting to write a lot more captions for a description. The videos are going into an hour and a half, 2 hours, right? And people are watching it. So don't shy away from long form content.
Absolutely, absolutely, Armando. There is so much to learn about all this, and I'm sure a lot of people would want to connect with you, learn more from you, about you, be your client, what's the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, they can reach me at leducentertainment.com. I'm also on all social media, so we are real easy to find. So you can connect with me a variety of different ways.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Appreciate it.